Hello. Call me North. I don't have an introduction, but I do have a video game. Welcome back to Citizen Sleeper 2, Starward Vector. I have a controller plugged in, which is why I have buttons showing up for each of these. Why did I leave that plugged in? Because it was easier than unplugging it. Anyway, we are starving, and if I remember right, we can't get cheap food anymore, so we just have to go to the bar and pick up something here. But we're about to go for flight, so should I front load my food so I don't have to worry about that? I'm gonna say, yeah, probably. We can find out if that carries over. The last time that I traveled anywhere, things were exploding, so not a great example. And I've been thinking about where exactly to go, because I want to go there, right? I want to go to the Flotsam, the Ramshackle Flotilla, which sounds kind of like the flotilla from the end of the first Starward, from Citizen Sleeper. But I do have this drive to help Nimba get spores from the green belt. The green belt's right there. 5 fuel. No, I have 5 fuel. And it would take me some to get there. That's 9 from here. Probably not that much less from Helion Gate. I want to go out there and grab that, but it's so far. And also, we have this stupid tracker to worry about. While that is ticking upward per cycle, I may not be able to do as much exploration of a new place as I want to. So I might have to fly back and forth a little bit, which means prioritizing finding fuel, which means topping that off. I need fuel and supplies. Y'all, Yujin, Bliss, disappointed. You should have been better at picking up supplies. I want to help Nimba, but also it's less important than getting the... I'm going to remember his name eventually. It doesn't say. It says here, escape lane. Lane. Stay in your lane, lane. How many other YouTubers have made that same joke? I really hope it's all of them. Alright, let's stock up on fuel. Stock up on supplies. We're good to fly. But I've got dice, and if I take off now, they're wasted. So, I am banned from here for being too good at video games. So yeah, let's do this one. This interpret signals got me a new location once, and I never spotted where exactly it was. Like, it's not all the way up here. It's not partway down. I don't see any yellow blinky things indicating a new location in here, and I haven't seen anything new in the map, not locally nor in the belt at large. Maybe I just didn't notice. You know what would solve that? Just going back to the last video that I recorded and watching it, but I haven't edited it yet, so that would take so much time, and it is boring. Oh well. Get some money. Get a lot of money. Maybe good money. Still starving. Should fix that before I get into the risky dice. It's this one. And I think we're going to go for the kelp cakes if it's 3 times. Oh, it's more than 3 times. Yeah, okay. That's very good. So it's more efficient to go for the kelp cakes because it gets you a lot more energy. Like, 33% more for the same cost. And, of course, if I lose one more energy, I can go for more kelp cakes. There we go. I would rather have the coin. Yeah. 13 cryo. Drop 12 on the kelp cakes. I'm up 1. Good job, me. Alright, let's blow this popsicle stand. Yep. Set it to scavenge fuel so that when we get to wherever it is that we're going, I don't forget about it. Let's go for a flight. -3 out on the hunt. Blasting off again. Good job, Team Rocket. It's hard to tell where Flotsam ends and the ships parked at its many docking bridges begin. Oh, cool. Still maximum energy. That's nice. Didn't use any supplies in transit. Fascinating. That could be exploitable. As Seraphin docks with the station, you realize that the rig now looks like just another piece of accumulated technology. One more bit of driftwood added to the raft. There it is. Right there. Attached to... Yeah, that's cool. I love this place. Seraphin smiles as he shuts down the engines. You never know what you'll find. You've been here before. Yeah, back when I first came to the belt. The crew I signed on with used to run salvage jobs out of here. Fun place to spend your wages. You see Bliss eyeing the station with what seems like horror and fascination. You see the seals? They point out some twisted assemblage of ship parts. Total cowboy welds. They could pop at any moment. Late-stage capitalism. Seraphin waves away their concerns. Oh, that's just the outer layer. I heard there's 6 or 7 in all, so if one fails, it's no problem. He stretches and turns to you. You've got to taste some of the stuff they grow in Old Takahe. He kisses his fingers. Oh, that's the good shit. Oh, great. Bliss sighs. So many layers of redundancy and fallbacks that you have no hope of isolating a leak and fixing it. They wrap on the wall of the rig. Sounds like a ship I know. I'm defending our ship. Hey, no, okay, this is a ship. It's a good ship. It flies. Seraphin joins in, the two of you shoulder to shoulder. She got you out of here, didn't she? He shrugs at Bliss. No sense of gratitude. She got you out here, not out of here. That makes more sense. I was joking. Bliss looks a little hurt, drifts out of the cockpit, shaking their head. You go to follow, but Seraphin puts a hand on your shoulder. Sleeper. He looks suddenly serious. Remember when I said about getting checked out? There are artificers all over this place. It'll take a bit of searching, but we need to know what's going on with you. He meets your eye. That's why we're here. I'll handle it. Afraid I'll go haywire? That is why we're here very specifically. Good. Seraphin nods. Let me know what they say. I'm gonna go see if my old haunts are still open. He drifts out of the cockpit with a mock salute. Catch you later. How about Yujin? Nothing from Yujin? Good. You are left alone in the cockpit with a view of Flotsam's chaotic structure. You look over the multicolored plating. It does, you admit, have a certain charm. Alright. We've got 8 cycles until we die horribly. Let's not do that. There's not a whole lot to Flotsam. Only one thing to investigate, so shouldn't take terribly long. Unless one of them is engineer, which I'm never, ever going to get good at. Okay, I could get good at. I could have spent my Intuit on it instead of, you know, it's fine. I'm going to get better at engineer soon. Explore Flotsam. Learning the chaotic structures of Flotsam from corridor to ship and back again takes time. ramshackle assemblage of decommissioned ships and wrecks. To call Flotsam labyrinthine is a serious understatement, and Flotsam is made from maybe hundreds of ships, gathered and modified over time. A good engineer might be able to identify them. I'm not. New location. What do we have? The Narrow Escape. It's a recovery contract. The Narrow Escape's barman, Botan, has a tip about a recovery contract for refugees. He'll give you the coordinates. For 8 cryo, we can pick up scrap. What's scrap worth? Oh. My rig's blown its propulsion and I'm stranded on some godforsaken rock. Repair crew needed. We'll split. Haul. No time wasters, or thieves. I'm armed. Yeah, we're gonna do that. But between now and then, it's only 8 cryo. Scrap components are probably decent. Oh. Do that in like 3 cycles when Lane starts catching up with us. Hey, what else we got? We've got refueling. Fuel, and they'll buy scrap components. I will buy scrap components from them. So, this, buying scrap components and then refining them into processed scrap, could be profitable. Fuel's more expensive here. It was 5 at the last place. So it might make sense to, depending on, yeah, if it's only 3 fuel to get out to this guy, then I can fly back to the other one for a full refuel. Save 3 whole credits. Very important, those singles. But no supplies. Wonder if there's any place that has supplies. Give me that 3. Found another location. It's Old Takahe, the antique hydroponic ship. Hey, we were told to go there. Working hydroponics. Risky. And that's where we can get supplies. Good. For 15 each, alright. Shifts are always available. And I'm bad at endure. But not so bad that it can be worse than a 1 on a die. I think it's so risky could increase my decrease my energy by 1, which isn't terrible right now. And it's better than these engineer actions. Yeah, well, but hey, I got Flotsam Explorer. That's okay. Let's buy this just to figure out how far it is. Do some planning. It is only 2 fuel. Alright. So if I do that, I'll have 4. That'll leave me enough to get back to... no. Farspindle. Barely, if I want to. Not a terrible thought. But, add a dice, end the day. Are you a honk shoe sleeper or a honk me sleeper? Alright. One more, which I can probably get with a 4. I mean, I know I can get it with a 4. I can fail this and still get a +1. Alright. Finish that up. The chaos of Flotsam intrigues you. Passage to passage, it is the most incoherent place you have ever visited. Ramshackle flotilla turned settlements. Plating, cladding, and cushioning of all kinds of conditions. Hides of forest of wires and ducts interfacing in ways their manufacturers would never dream possible. OSHA would hate it. Rooms are crushed cargo bays, flipped bridges, and eviscerated engine rooms. Patchwork corridors are lumpen, with messy welds bending worryingly along their length. It is, to put it nicely, a total mess. It's not that you don't like it, but finding an artificer among this chaos has been more than a little challenging. This cycle, searching these winding passages once more, seeing only scrap merchants and junk shops, you have begun to wonder if Seraphin had any idea what he was talking about when he advised you to come here. A sleeper. The voice cuts through the pungent air. Well, I never. Jean Me. You glance in the voice's direction and find yourself looking at a small booth. Piled with tech behind a fogged and scratched plastic screen is a meticulously arranged counter. The only clear spot in sight. At it, an older man with wet and meandering eyes sits neatly. Talk or approach? Strange artificer. Well, I guess we found one. I will approach the booth. Jean Me tilts his head. I didn't mean to be rude. Please. And he bows a little. It's okay. He smiles warmly, almost bowing again, his hunched shoulders accentuating the movement. How... He pauses, taking care with his speech now. How are you feeling, sleeper? He beckons you a little closer. I am Jean-Michel, though please to you, Jean-Mi. That makes more sense. Jean-Michel. I work with machines. He sweeps a hand above his counter where you see configurations of tiny parts, mostly small ones. He smiles. I'm not great. I'm not. Of course. He jumps with his hand to indicate a stool with a leg bar, meant for perching beside his counter, and such is the clarity and persuasiveness of his movement that you obligingly sit. Your presence is a rare honor here. He smiles and looks down into his lap. I am sorry if I make you uncomfortable. I am just very pleased to see you. It's okay, or can I help you with something? He's very happy to see us. That's okay. He looks up. Very kind of you to say. I can see your journey to me has not been easy, he says with genuine concern. You track his eyes across your body, noticing the scuff marks on your thick, vinyl-like skin that were placed in broken parts of your body, the marks of violence. You pull your jacket a little tighter. This person has worked on sleepers. Jean-Mi folds his hands one over the other, and places them on the counter. I do not know what your experiences have been, but I want to assure you that I see you as a person, a being, a soul, shall we say, as valid as any other. Which is very, very good, because a lot of people don't like Lane. I don't think Lane even sees people as being souls. You look at Jean-Mi, his own age and wear, also evident. A life of precise and careful work, shaping his body into a reflection of his process. You note his unconfident way of speaking, which betrays a certain loneliness, a lack of practice. It is his turn to feel observed. How do you expect me to respond, or I understand? I understand. You are kind. The frankness of the remark takes you by surprise. He looks down at his counter and begins to take apart a tiny piece of machinery that sits there. Many years ago, when I began my apprenticeship, I would find that whenever I saw something that, was not working well, I was fixated on it and its repair. He tinkers with the parts, twisting them precisely. Of course, the belt is filled with this kind of dysfunctional detail. And so I was busy for many years with these small fixings. He smiles in reminiscence. But now I find that when I am interested in a thing that is not working as it should, he sharply twists one of the parts between his fingers. It is because it might have some quality not yet foreseen or discovered. That does it in a nutshell. He releases the altered object into the air where it balaically, it's almost ballistically, why not? Balaically twists in a hypnotic display, like a spinning top whose movements are totally unpredictable. Jean-Mi smiles at you, watching his hypnotic toy. I can see that you are in the process of becoming Sleeper. He catches the spinning toy between a finger and thumb. Let me aid you in this. What do you mean? Why? I'm not so sure. What do you mean? Jean-Mi's precise hands drop to a device around his neck. He deftly pulls a pair of goggles to his face, masking his wet eyes. Hold still, Sleeper. Something flickers inside the goggles, their face blank. Jean-Mi's hands play across buttons and switches on the exterior, tuning, focusing. I'm gonna let him work. When the goggles are finally lowered, they reveal a look of concern on Jean-Mi's face. I think you better come inside. He kicks off from his desk and disappears. A moment later, you hear a rattle and a small bulkhead door beside the booth that you had assumed was rusted shut creaks open. Jean-Mi beckons you inside. Jean-Mi's workshop is even more cramped than you expected. As you enter, you are surrounded on all sides with netting holding bundles and bundles of terminals, servers, drives, and cables. At its center, a padded seat and a set of articulated arms mounted with sensors and tools fills the space. The seat, please. Jean-Mi gestures at it with a polite smile. He seems kind, but also I want to know. What are you going to do? Not to worry. I only wish to examine you. It is non-intrusive. Hopefully also non-destructive. You tentatively settle on the seat, stepping your arms and feet into the straps meant to keep you from floating out of it in zero-G. Jean-Mi floats beside you. He looks across your body. There is damage here. I see that. We will get to that. Yeah, one of my dice is at 2 out of 3 hit points. But I see something else here as well. This is why you came. He looks at you solemnly. Yes? Well, I know what it is, but does he know what it is? Are we talking about the same thing, or are we looking in crystal balls? What are you talking about? Please, Sleeper, let us be frank with each other. Hi, Frank, I'm Dad. Though I have never met a Sleeper, I have studied them. I was lucky to acquire some materials from SNARP some time ago, SNARP being the company that produces Sleepers, in the interest of my own endeavors. He begins arranging a series of sensors around you on articulated arms. You are pleasingly distinct from those materials. His eyes flash with excitement. Am I right in thinking you have been modified? I rebooted myself. Yes, I see that your dependency on stabilizer, on the immune recoding portion of its makeup at least, has been broken. It gives you a precise look, but that is not all. You are physically modified, not externally, but internally. He carefully positions the final sensor. Physically modified internally. Somebody messed with our innards. Your tracker is disabled, which makes it impossible for SNARP to find you. Congratulations. Yeah, that's step one for literally every Sleeper. If you don't disable the tracker, you get wrecked real fast. But this is not all. You have been modified, yes, but you are also being modified as we speak. Uh-oh. You feel a strange claustrophobia at Jean-Mi's statement, modified. Seraphim rebooted your system, ran the recoding protocol, but that shouldn't have physically changed you. It only removed your planned obsolescence. That can't be right. Denial, of course, being the first response to, everyone. How? Jean-Mi goes to a terminal and flicks a switch. Through the back of the translucent screen, you see a nodal web in the vague shape of a sitting body. Your body. These changes appear to be complex, subtle, but consistent. Jean-Mi goes silent as he taps at the terminal, the representation of your body rotating and unfolding in an unsettling motions. What changes? See here? He points at a flickering representation of your spine, tracing a line towards your head. Your nervous system is growing additional nodal points here and here. Meanwhile, your emulation interface is growing an umbilical access port, though towards what end I am unsure. You instinctively reach back and touch the base of your head. As you do, the scan flickers and screeches with noise. You feel for something there, growing under your thick vinyl skin. Can you feel a lump? Or is that just your imagination? You pick at it. Jean-Mi sighs and shuts off the terminal. The changes are partial, and in all honesty, he gestures sharply at the sensors. The resolution is too poor. Someone's modifying us. Is it us or someone else, or are we growing these things as a result of our own intervention? In the last game, Gardener was a really cool post-AI sentience in a computer. It would grow AIs like they were seeds, and they would join with a swarm, a river of other sentiences, all existing in a really cool digital replication of nature. It was awesome. I need to run a full diagnostic, but for that I would need... He drifts over to another terminal and brings up screens and screens of text and diagrams. Yes, some kind of medium to hold your suspended emulation. The access jack I can build myself, but we will need to bridge your emulation. Jean-Mi speaks quietly, almost to himself. So he's talking about taking our mind out of our body so he can mess with our body. A ship mind would be ideal for this. Would have to be high capacity, a prime ship mind, Solheim in origin. Perhaps Helion Gate might hold records of any that were in the system. He taps at the terminal, Helion Gate being in the other direction. Jean-Mi turns back to you. Yes, the prime ship mind is essential if you wish further investigations to be done, and we'll need this above all. He thumbs the terminal off. I am sorry to say, Sleeper. Can't you tell me more, or I'm going to need a minute? Can't you tell me more? Accurately? No. He meshes his fingers in front of his chest. It is clear that a process has begun, but has yet to complete. We might have a secret timer going on, a secret clock. Jean-Mi busies himself with taking down the sensors and folding away the articulated arms. As he does, you try to calm yourself. You feel as if you have worms under your skin, and it takes all your focus not to pick at its seams. Jean-Mi suddenly but gently places a hand on yours. Please, remain calm. He puts a carefully restored rare component in your hand. This can help you. We need those to repair a dice. Jean-Mi waits for you to fall still. Then he leans back a little, relieving some of the strange intimacy of the moment. For now, our work is concluded. He meshes his fingers again and bows with a small head bob. But you are welcome, anytime. I have to think and thank you. I'm gonna thank him. I need to think, but also thank you. Of course. His manner seems to have returned to something more businesslike. A humble man who knows his customers' needs. You get up from the seat, a little dazed, and push away into the passage. Safe travels, Sleeper, Jean-Mi says quietly, placing the promised list in your hand as he lets you back into the station. You leave dazed, unsure of how you feel about the insistence of this man's particular kindness. But most of all, haunted by the idea of the unseen processes that are running within you. Part of you does not wish to know anything further, to leave this place and never look back, and another is desperate to immediately retrieve every object on this list, so that you may know what this strangeness is happening within you. That second one is me. I am that one. For now, you must steady yourself and find a way to continue. So, going from 5 rare to 6 rare. Good. Seraphin comes to find you in your bunk. After Jean-Mi's assessment, you find yourself drifting back to the rig in need of the familiarity and comfort of your own ship. Sleeper? He drifts in. You found an artificer? He hovers by the door, looking concerned. Explain or conceal the truth. No. Who would pick that one? That's bad. Explain. You tell him about Jean-Mi, how he offered you repairs and ran an assessment of your frame. You describe the cramped booth, the articulated arms, the strangeness of seeing your own body anatomized upon the terminal screen. Then you tell him that your body is changing, growing in ways that Jean-Mi cannot identify, that some process has been started and you do not know where it will end. You mention umbilical ports and nodal points, trying your best to remember the details of the things Jean-Michel asked you to retrieve. Seraphin grows pale and silent. He shakes his head when you stop talking. Lane, he frowns. That piece of shit has to be behind this. Maybe. Or maybe it's something else. We don't know. We don't know that. I know it, Sleeper. A dark look crosses his face. I'm sure of it. We'll get what you need. We'll find that ship mind. He nods. Bit of work here and there. We can make it to Helion Gate and wherever else. What about your stuff? We'll do that too. He thumps the wall. We're free, Sleeper. No one can stop us. Just say the word, okay? He goes quiet. Don't give up on yourself just yet. He smiles. Get up, get back to it. And with that, he turns and kicks off down the corridor, disappearing from sight. You wait a little while, staring at the stained ceiling of the bunks, letting the thoughts settle in your mind. And then, when you are ready, you get up and leave, dazed, but with a stony determination growing in your chest. Good. Integrator Offices, Flotsam Management Association. Flotsam Maintenance. Flotsam needs constant work to keep it sealed and safe. The integrators are volunteers who can always use some work, which I'm good at. Buy engine components. Integrators usually have some engine components to spare, but they know how valuable they are and price them highly. We've got 3? Yeah. And Flotsam Integration. Integration means meshing systems as well as scrap. The integrators will pay for anyone skilled with meshing networks, which is us. We can do either one of those. Cool. Engine components. Reasonably expensive, 50. All the way out there, Jean-Mi's booth, out on the raggedy edge. Need a ship mind. That's a ship mind or an imprinted ship mind? They were different in the last game. Jean-Mi has promised to run diagnostics on your changing body, but needs a ship mind to house your emulation while he works. He's gonna tear out our brain, while our brain isn't in it. Alright, so this is supplies, food. Let's... As long as we're here... We got... What, 9? Need 2. Let's blow our dice and go do that job. Interface or maintenance. Let's do integration. 8 cryo and raw scrap. Hello. Is that for all critical successes? It is. Well. You work to integrate a new life support filter into the wider system. The other integrators are impressed and give you some raw spare scrap. Yeah. Alright, just loading up on scrap. 8 cryo and raw scrap. I wonder what Flotsam maintenance is. This is good or great. Survey says... Positive is 8 cryo and raw scrap. Replacing an entire unit, they give you some scrap as thanks. So this is a good source of scrap. which is handy for processing it into processed scrap, which, what do we do with processed scrap? Oh. Alright, full up on supplies, good on fuel. Let's go answer a distress call. And we've only got 2 to pick, so confirm the crew and bounce. See ya. Asteroid, another rock in the belt. Keep your hands where I can see them. The voice crackles over the open channel of your suit comms as you near the stranded rig. The guy did say he was armed. You slow your approach a little as you move towards the ship, its shape lumpy and skeletal in the distant light of the sun. A warm welcome. Bodes well for the rest of the job. Bliss shoots you a concerned look. Better than just shooting me. You look up at the stranded ship ahead. Clearly they are feeling a bit exposed. Approach silently would be a bad call, so we're here to help. Well, I figured that, the voice retorts. Otherwise I would have put a hole in that shiny rig of yours already. Shiny? You arrive at the side of the rig, inspecting the damage as you do. Half the hull plating and big chunks of the internal structure seem to be missing, but you have a feeling that this is not what you are here to fix. The airlock opens and you move inside. The interior all exposed wires and metal framework. The systems wheeze and shudder as it cycles. Alma, haggard salvager with a backpack with some servo arms and so many tools. Cool. Nothing of value here, so if you're looking to steal something, y'all are welcome to it. Alma greets you plainly inside the rig. You do the work that's needed and I'll take your half of the haul. Straight to business, I see. I love the art in this game so much. It reminds me a lot of a webcomic called Kill 6 Billion Demons. It's so good. Like, the amount of detail is phenomenal. Ain't that what you're here for? Her face is placid and unchanging as a rock. If you were expecting a tea party, you'll be sorely disappointed. I did want tea. Here's the short of it. Engine's conked out on me, and I'm no engineer. Neither am I. He can usually get her going, but this time, no dice. Yeah. She looks between you and the rest of your crew. Surprised there's so many of you, to be honest. Bliss smiles sympathetically. Sorry about that, but don't worry, I've worked on these engines before. They give Alma a wink. I can handle this. Don't be so sure. Alma leads you towards the engine room. The layout of her rig, much the same as yours. This girl is the sensitive type. You need to know how to handle her. The central corridor of the ship snakes in a way that isn't familiar to you, and you realize that this rig is far more heavily modified than your own. Something that becomes all the more obvious when you arrive in the engine room. Rather than the rig's stock engine, a singular block and double turbine, with feed lines between, Alma's engine is a mess of piping and feed lines linking up multiple raw components welded to the interior frame of the room. Your eyes widen at the sight. Been adding to her since I was young. Alma smiles at the chouse. I know it's chaos, I'm just having fun with it. Might look like a mess, but she purrs when she's running. Bliss is shaking their head slowly. Oh, sleeper. They let out a puff of air. This is gonna be special. You struggle to tell if they're intimidated or impressed. Perhaps it's a little of both. That's about all of it. Alma gestures to the exploded engine. Get her running and you'll get your half of the haul. What's the haul? Alma glides over to a window set in the side of the engine room and points to the corroded remains of a facility deep in the asteroid's loose, dusty surface. That there's the haul. She taps on the glass. It's good a find as I've seen. That pile of scrap, or the hull is building and all that's in it. Alma screws up her face. Oh, what, are you too good for scrapping? No. By rights, that building's mine. Scrapper's claim. Alma scratches at her mess of hair. But you help me get her running. You are welcome to take what you want from it, up to a maximum of 50% of raw mass, that is. We have to extract it ourselves? She looks you up and down. You feel the first acknowledgement of you being a sleeper. I doubt it'll trouble one of you. Anyway, you're leaving with nothing unless my girl here is back in shape by the time you're done. She folds her arms across her chest. So get to it. You turn back to the engine, your eyes tracing the madness of the interlocking systems. You're starting to have the horrible feeling that this contract is some kind of elaborate joke. Alright, so we got Alma's rig and we got the ruined facility. What all is in here? Gathering scrap. Beyond the corroded outer walls, this place is just scrap. This is scrapper's work. It takes more resilience than skill. The only person who's good at it is Yujin. We can gather 6, maybe? And component work, which Bliss is okay at and Sleeper is better at. In the corroded, ragged remains of this facility, there might still be valuables tucked away. The trick is to find them. And there's hidden treasures. You suspect that deep in this facility there might be some components you can use, but it'll be a long search. Fortunately, with a couple of 5s, I should be able to do that all right. Let's see what we need for the rig. Alma's girl, the old engine, has seen a lot of use, and modification. Fixing it means learning how it works. Engine labor, Yujin is the only one who can. Engine study, Bliss is the only one who can. Well, with a system this complex, you can either understand it or approach it systematically, checking it piece by maddening piece. Or engine study. Alma's engine fills the room like some esoteric sculpture. To try to fix it, it must be studied and understood. Sleeper's shit at these two. So let's blow Bliss on engine study, Yujin on engine labor, and Sleeper on the facility component search. Because Sleeper's going to be bad at that one too. That's fine. 5s and 6s to reduce danger. And danger means we might get a negative outcome or a consequence even on a neutral outcome. Like that. Plus stress. Right. So with 2s, I don't want to do anything else. Yujin. Alright, let's push through. Yeah. Double up on Alma's girl. Bliss working on this side. Firing up the torch. Double up, and this one's only risky, so I can blow a chance for stress on Bliss. That's fine. Alright. Call it a day with 3 2s left over. I could push, but I do not want stress. Because if I break dice, I have to repair them. Yujin's useless today. Bliss has a 5. Yujin is useless today. On whether I break a die. Well, lost that coin toss. Oh well. Let's see what we find. Another rock in the belt. There's a hiss and a rush of stale air as the sealed bay deep in the facility's tunnels opens for the first time in years. The beams of your suit lamps reach into the dark, picking out waves of dust and debris. They reveal a small bay, big enough for a shuttle, but not a rig like yours. As you glide inside, those same beams catch on the frame of something that sits at the center of the bay. It is wide and flat, with a cylindrical central section that runs its length. As you move around it, looking at the sections of plates and open frame, you realize it's a ship, or at least it was. This frame, filled with rusted components and partially covered with old hull plates, suggests a fast ship, an arrowhead designed to cut through debris and even atmosphere. where's anybody going to find atmosphere out here? You float up a little to see into its central cylinder, and your lamps reveal a cockpit outfitted for 2 people. One sat behind the other. The seats are carefully upholstered, and you realize this was a labor of love. It's a Millennium Falcon. The whole ship, in fact, seems built by hand, a custom model with little function out here beyond looping around asteroids for the thrill of it. Looking closer, brushing away the surface corrosion, you see flames painted on the hull plates in curling patterns, the brushstrokes visible even after what must be many years. As you inspect the half-finished ship, a sense of quiet wonder keeping you silent, you notice a glint towards its rear. You approach it and see an engine, all interlocking tubes and flared vents. It's unlike any you've ever seen, but the holes in its sides suggest that it may never have been finished. Those holes are the source of the glint. You reach in and pull out some strange-looking engine components, each pristine and complex. You hesitate for a moment, suddenly feeling you shouldn't be disturbing such an intimate object. But it occurs to you that nothing would please the person who built the ship more than seeing these handmade components put to use. You secure them to your suit, then push away from the ship. As you leave the bay, you turn and take one last look at the treasure inside. It's possible that it never flew, or perhaps it was in the middle of an extensive refit when this place was abandoned. Either way, its flying years have long since passed. And now, with the bay open, it will corrode much faster, melding with the anonymized scrap of this place in mere cycles. You suppress a shiver and start the journey back up to the surface, aware of the components dangling at your side. 2 engine components. Valves, lines, and pumps for increasing engine capacity and range. So at some point I'm going to be able to upgrade my ship. That's what I'm going to need to do it. I got 3s, but Sleeper is no good at anything else. I really wish I hadn't taken that last point of stress, but I was in a hurry, alright? Yujin could do that one or work on the rig. That one's dangerous, though. Don't want danger. Let's have Yujin gather scrap with the 2, and then probably also the 1. Or maybe we'll just accumulate more stress, who knows. That's better. Raw material. Cool. And with 1s left, it's all 1s with my -2 on the die. Call it a day. So it's 3 cycles, which means that Lane's getting closer. Bliss is no good. Yujin is marginally better. And Sleeper's 5 great dice are useless. Can't do anything there anymore. Can't do anything there. I might have to just call it a day without doing anything. With a dangerous activity, we have a 75% chance of gaining stress. And a overlapping 75% chance of increasing the clock for repairing the ship. With a 2 and a 1 and a 2. Risky on engine studies, probably better, because it's just risky. Risky would probably only increase stress on a negative outcome, which is a 50% chance, as opposed to a 75% chance for Yujin. So yeah, let's drop 1 die in and call it a day. My 5. It's a 3. It's terrible. More stress for our Sleeper is very bad. But I could take 1 without getting too close to that 2. So, alright. And that's all I'm willing to risk. Because dropping those in gets real bad. So, call it a day with so many dice left over. Oh well. Give me some 6s. 5s will do. Alright. Bliss. Give me some wins. That's okay. That's still okay. A 3 in there. Math is no different than it was previously. Low on supplies. Got 2 cycles left before we start accumulating stress every cycle, and that stress is going to start breaking our dice, which we rolled 2 1s, so we've got some dice that are starting to crack. So go do Asian. Alright. Very close. Not close enough for me to push on it. No ones, no ones. Shh, the same 2 dice. Alright. Fine, I guess. Alright. The engine looks right, you can't be sure, but perhaps the job is done. Let's find out. You all gather in Alma's rig to see the engine tested. The engine room purrs and chitters. It seems to warm with the sound of the engine, with the polyrhythmic vibrations that rattle through the open framework of the interior. You look over to Alma and you see her eyes are closed, a small tremble at the corner of her mouth. You look at the engine, Alma's engine, an object that you've come to respect over the past cycles, even if you haven't necessarily grown to love it. It is, as you see now, a difficult thing to love. Whole parts of it make little sense, and its older systems, those now bypassed and made obsolete by newer additions, still somehow play an integral role that you don't understand. It is unwieldy, and unnecessarily so, and the accumulation of parts and patches from its long service makes it surprisingly fragile. Meanwhile, other sections have been welded and re-welded so many times that they are impregnable, and will never be able to replace. It is uncooperative, prone to sudden outbursts of cooling fluid or even fuel. It is restless and will begin to leak when left idle for too long. It is always too cold or too hot thanks to the coolant and the fuel, and it is hard to predict which it will be at any given moment. And yet, despite all this, it is an object you feel close to, that you feel a kinship with, because in the end, you, too, are an accumulation of broken parts, long outliving their operational limits. You, too, are a machine that has become a story, and a story that has grown beyond the abilities of others to understand it. You look over at Alma again, and Bliss is there beside her. You can see that they're talking, but with the engine running, you cannot hear them. You watch for a moment, Bliss now patiently listening as, in faltering words, Alma explains something to them. Bliss nods, and then suddenly they embrace, gently, with care. Bliss pushes back, and as soon as the moment has passed, it seems like it might not happen at all. Nothing in the 2 figures' attitudes betrays the act, and the room seems unchanged. You try to remember if you've seen them speaking before now, but you recall there are many moments when you were not with Bliss. As you watch Alma approach, you realize the engine is not just special to you, and that between her and Bliss, it might have been the bridge to a unique kind of respect. That's the job, Sleeper. Alma approaches you from the other side of the room, and you know where the payment is to be found. I believe that brings our business to an end. Alma scratches at her hair, unless y'all have something to add. What will you do now? What brought you here, that's all. What will you do now? I believe that's my business. She bristles at the question. I'll need to find somewhere quiet to resupply and so on, but I don't think you'd like my usual haunts. She gives you a sly look. I appreciate the assistance. You're welcome to take what you want from the hangar if you haven't already. You see a knowing shimmer in her eyes. Now I must kindly ask you to leave my ship. Huh. She knew about the hangar. As the airlock cycles, you look across at Bliss and swear you see a tear in their eye. Are you okay? What did they say? Stay silent. What did Alma say? Bliss turns to you as if they forgot you were there. She just reminded me of why I do what I do. Why I fix things. They look ahead. There's beauty in it. You find yourself drifting away from Alma's rig in a haze of thoughts. It's clear to you at this point that Alma's history is written all over this place, but more than that, well, you can't be sure. The story, it seems, isn't for you. That's for Citizen Sleeper 3. You realize, as you gaze at the broken remains of the facility, that Alma never took any of her half of the haul. You turn back and squint at the cockpit of her rig. You see her there, looking out across this wasteland, still as a statue. It's an image that, as you load into the rig and begin the preparations of the part, will stick with you. One that, every time you enter the engine room of your ship, a room almost identical to the engine room of Alma's rig will leap into your mind. A woman floating above the wreck of what was once her home, looking for a reason to keep going. Contract complete. Alright, let's shop it. Risky. Yeah. Cut it to pieces. This place that was her home. Raw material. So much of it. Where's raw material? It's not scrap components, it's not engine components, or raw scrap, or processed scrap. Oh, I gotta fill the clock before it'll... Yeah. I could drop those in, but that's such a low chance. That's terrible for everything. One last cycle. See if I can break 2 dice. I mean, what are the odds, right? Alright. And Eugen is not terrible. Double up. One more. 75. Hooray. You rest a moment, taking a break from dragging the plates you've cut across the asteroid's surface. You find yourself looking up towards Alma's rig, still there on the edge of the crater, and wonder if she's watching. With her engine fixed, you half expected her to leave immediately, but she remains here, on the horizon, unable to leave this place. As if in response, your comms channel buzzes. Nice pile you got there, Alma announces herself on the open channel. We'll make scrappers of you kids yet. That scrap will earn you a pretty penny if you know what you're doing, she continues. Holmes Rock's always a good place to offload. I'll give you that one for free. You look at the stack of ragged torch-cut plates as they're loaded up into the rig's cargo hold, and you have to admit, you do feel a little pride at the work done. You could have helped. Thanks. Hey, you earned it. You glance over your shoulder at the cockpit of Alma's rig where you can see her watching. What is this place? There's a click on the open channel as it closes, and Alma seems to take a moment to consider her response. She clears her throat. How about you tell me what you think, Sleeper? Solheim facility? No. Some old mine? No. A hangar? Found a ship? Alma coughs and splutters, then goes silent. Got a good nose for salvage, have we? She sniffs. Not just a hangar, though. A home. Alma goes quiet for a moment, but you wait, getting the feeling there's still more to be said. See the old arrays on the far side? You turn and look up at the rock, toward the broken frames and panels. You can just make out in the dust, catching the sun's weak light. Those are the first priority. Get power running, recharge the cells for the excavators, the welders, turn the scrap into something livable. She falters and coughs. Look at them now. You see the tumble-down collection of panels. They look like they were scattered by a careless hand, discarded without much thought. The comms channel clicks off. You see the distant silhouette of Alma drift from view. out of the cockpit of her rig. You turn back to see that the scrap has been loaded into the ship. You're half of the haul, though you suspect this place is more than just a haul to Alma. Well, that's everything. Time to bounce. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Yeah. Rolling out. Leave. Reduce stress for everyone. Don't have to repair my dice yet because they're not broken. The lane timer is doing okay. Sleeper is starving. Let's buy a meal. Fuel's low. Supplies are gone. Reset them to scavenge supplies. Because supplies are so much more expensive. Ultikai can work the hydroponics badly. Don't need to. No, do need to, but don't want to right now. Let's see. If I'm gonna do jobs, let's do 2 cycles worth of jobs before we bounce for... We needed to get to... Holmes Rock is where they said we could drop off scrap. Could fly straight to Wellspring if I had a HasNav, which I don't. And if I had one more fuel, which I could get. So let's plan. Think about it for a minute. Do some work in the meantime. Visiting fuel freighter. Buy scrap. Don't need any of that right now. I think getting the scrap refined to process scrap is probably going to be a good priority at some point. Yeah, let's do this and call it a day. Flotsam maintenance. Get some more scrap that way. And also credits. Cryo. And I think I will call this recording here because it's been a minute. Thank you all so much for watching. Deeply appreciate it. All 2 of my regular viewers, thank you for sticking with me through all of my tomfoolery. Catch you in the next one. Be well.